Karen Holton TV presents the Quantum Guide Show, featuring ordinary people sharing their extraordinary gifts within our social reality. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Well, today we're going to do something a little bit different. I do not have a guest. I'm going to do the show on my own. Why? Because those of you who know me, I get messages from my higher self, my invisible guides, ETs all over the place. And I was given this information to pass on to you. So the good thing is that it means that my guides and my ET friends are aware of all of you. I don't know if you knew that, but I thought I would say it. So today we're going to talk about leveraging your anger. So I'm going to just give you a little overview as an introduction, and then we'll get into more details. And I'm not sure how I will handle the chat today, but I'm trying something new where I'm just streaming all the comments directly to the screen, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, hang on to your hats because here it comes. How to leverage your anger. Anger is something we're not taught to use as a tool. And since we do not know how to handle anger, we cover it up with addictions and acting out, and we develop many dysfunctional behaviors which do not add any love, harmony, or peace to our lives. Anger is constantly generated by the construct to destabilize us and our societies. Examples of the artificial divide between political, social, religious, economic, and many other systems which drive us apart and increase our dis-ease and our disharmony. And examples include right versus left, Christian versus Muslim, rich versus poor, mainstream versus alternative, black versus white, fat versus skinny, famous versus unknown, and on it goes. We become vulnerable to handlers who foment our anger and direct us against each other. We become warriors for their causes, not our own. So, what do we do with our anger? In truth, anger is a natural state of being, yet we're not taught to use this emotion to our advantage or advancement. It releases much power and can be used as a pivot point so we can reach higher states of consciousness and life experience. Anger is often considered to be a lower vibration point, but in reality, it is the pivot point between the lower and the higher frequencies of reality. Here is how I use anger to create a more rewarding life. So the first thing I had to learn was to focus that energy within. So I would think about the reasons, and I want you to think about the reasons that you are angry and focus these physical and emotional sensations. Gather them within, learn anger management techniques so you can recognize what makes you feel angry and the stages of anger as they occur within the mind and the body. Once you're better acquainted with your anger, learn to pull back before you reach the state of madness. Uncontrolled anger can indeed lead us to say and do things that we may regret later. So learn to recognize the sensations that the stages of our anger produces within us. Once you have mastered this, think of your anger as being like missiles. But instead of destruction, these are your weapons of creation. Learn to focus each missile and aim it toward non-living targets. So examples could include world peace, better health, more sanity, etc. Your anger is raw energy waiting for you to direct it, to deploy and transmute into your personal and collective goals. I have to give you this warning, though, choose wisely. This is powerful medicinal magic. And Thank you so much for joining me today. All the links are below in the description box. Thank you for subscribing. Please do leave me a comment and smash that like button. YouTube channel memberships are now available so you can receive my perks and help to support my channel. Okay, so that's a big subject. Let's just quickly go into the chat. Oh, we've got all kinds of friends here. We've got Helena and Denise, Phoenix, Maya. Nice to see you. If I've forgotten anybody, welcome. So good to have you all here. Oh, Hillbilly Herb, thank you so much for joining me. So I don't know if you can see the comments. Let me know. I can make them bigger, but I don't want them to take away from the actual information that I'm going to be talking about. Okay, yes, that still works. Thank you, Denise. Awesome. Okay, so let me get to where this all started. Okay, so I don't watch any mainstream news, but I do watch alternative news. And on the alternative news, there's so much fighting. We even have citizens that are so fed up with the government that they're actually taking over entire cities. Things are really, really getting into a crisis kind of a situation. At least as far as I know, this is happening in the United States, Canada, Australia, parts of Europe, the UK. People are really getting fed up and they're angry, and they have good reasons to be angry. So I want you all to think about what makes you angry. You got a perfect right to be angry. And I'm going to show you a little bit on how to use the tool of anger to get more what you want out of life. So as I mentioned in the preamble, we're not taught to use anger as a tool. Me being born female in Canada, oh boy, we were not allowed to get angry. And you suppress it, you stuff it, and and nothing seems to fix anything. And this absolutely leads to, as I mentioned, dysfunctional behaviors like these people out rioting in the streets and destroying all kinds of property. There are better ways of handling our anger, but we're not shown how. Why? Because it's constantly being generated by what I call the construct to destabilize us and our societies. So all of these divides that we perceive as being real things are not real. They are illusions. I know from my ET contact, they do not do things the way we do here on Earth. They're much more advanced. And so they don't separate themselves on political ideologies or social customs or anything like that. They have learned to overcome these things and to use everything so that it benefits themselves and their society. So I'm sure you could think of many, many more situations where we're being divided, like right versus left, Christian versus Muslim or some other religion, rich versus poor, mainstream versus alternative, black versus white, fat versus skinny, famous versus unknown, and on it goes. And what this does is it makes us vulnerable to the handlers who foment our anger and direct us against each other. So we become warriors for their causes, but not our own. So we see a lot of this in what's going on in the world today. And the funny thing about it, not funny, just funny, kind of weird, is that, we got all these people protesting, and you've got groups of people who don't even speak English, and they're holding up their signs that have been pre-made and distributed to them that are in English. So this whole thing is a setup, and people are falling for it. But they're also falling for it because they don't have a better way of dealing with their anger. And so, again, I want to say that the truth is that anger is a natural state of being. It's an emotion. It's important, and it was given to us so that we could use it to our best interests. and it's a pivot point. So whenever we're feeling angry, that's a perfect point to gather that energy and turn it towards something what we do want, and not be using it to try to push away that which we do not want. And so I'm going to just mark where I'm leaving off and check in with the chat, see if you're all following me so far. And yeah, let's see what some of you are having to say. Hillbilly Herb is saying, I think we are witnessing the end of a dualism-based reality. No longer black or white. It's both, all the shades in between. I would agree with you, Hillbilly Herb. And Fearlessly Phoenixing says, it's to produce a powerful force that is extremely powerful, but keep people from understanding how to use it, and instantly follow it up with a direction for it, and they continue after it. Absolutely. So it sounds like you guys are pretty much online with what I'm saying here. And I have more to say, but I thought I would just check in with the live chat at this point and, feature some of your comments. Okay, so we all have anger. I'm sure all of you could get in touch with that anger at any time. So let's learn how to use it. Now, people often want to avoid anger because they think that it's a low vibrational state and it'll lower their frequency. But I have not found that to be true. I just find it to be the perfect pivot point. And there's so much energy that's trapped in the emotion of anger. So anger is partly psychological, it's partly what we're thinking in our mind, but it's definitely body sensations. And they can be extremely, extremely intense. So to go a little further, I recommend that people learn to focus this energy within. So your anger is also linked to your solar plexus chakra. It has a place within our bodies, our minds, our emotions, our spirit. And I encourage everybody to gather those physical and emotional sensations within and learn what makes you feel angry, but also learn the stages of anger as they occur within the mind and the body. Once you're better acquainted with your anger, learn to pull back before you reach the state of madness. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is, if we're in touch with how our body's feeling without distractions, we know when we're starting to get angry. It starts with a mild feeling of, say, irritation, and that irritation then can lead to stronger feelings, what I will call undesirable feelings that we may be having percolating and just coming into our sense of awareness. And while those feelings are building, they're getting more and more intense. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes it also causes me to become more and more irrational in my thinking. And so the first thing we want to do is to learn the stages of discontent, learn that where your cutting off point is. So I'll give you an example. If somebody does something and I'm feeling irritated, I can go, yeah, I'm recognizing I'm feeling kind of irritated right now. Well, that's a good level of anger to start using in your manifesting and in your creating the reality of your choice. We may want to wait until we get a little bit more than irritated, where we're definitely identifying some undesirable feelings within our body and thoughts within our mind. Well, at that point, we can pull back. We're not lost to it. We can pull back and we can just start harvesting and manipulating that level of anger, because we're still sane. We're still within sanity's boundaries when it comes to our anger. We do not want to wait until our personal bear's been poked to the point where we're just losing our shit. So those of you who were with us last Wednesday would know I little bit lost my shit during the show, which was interesting because I was thinking about it afterwards. And that's when I started downloading the directive to make notes and to bring my information, to the next show, which is what we're doing today. So while you have a manageable level of anger, that's when I want you to do the following. Not waiting till you're absolutely losing your shit. No, that is not really very beneficial. And the other thing, too, is when we start recognizing our anger before the point of insanity, what happens is we got more control over it. We don't have to be saying and doing things that can hurt ourselves or other people. There's nothing to walk back and apologize and feel regretful later. What it does is it gives us this amazing ability to stay rational and to make choices. And that's what I mean by using anger as a pivot point. Okay, so once you've mastered this, now start thinking about your anger as being like missiles, but instead of using them for destruction, these are your weapons of creation. So this is actually the opposite to what you might have been taught or what you might know or how you might think. So what I do is I gather up my anger when it's in a manageable state, and I view it like being like missiles that you're going to fire onto certain outcomes. And you can actually use that for creation. So an example of that is I got so fed up with being sick and tired all the time, I was able to gather up my anger towards a system that doesn't tell me the truth about food and my health, a medical industry who sure doesn't tell me the truth about lifestyle and ways that I could improve my health, not to mention being sick and tired of being sick and tired, and also just not wanting to be in this constant state of suffering. So I was able to gather my anger towards people, places, and things, but also just the fact that we're we're not having the level of health that is our birthright. And I was able to gather that up and use that energy to manifest better health for myself. It took energy for me and anger for me to flip it and to focus that on eating better, on getting outside and fresh air, to meditate more, all the things that we know we should be doing or could be doing and choose not to. So when you're gathering up that anger, instead of it directing it towards people or places or things, why not use it in conjunction with your manifesting a new world? So for instance, you can be in a meditative state. You can gather some of your anger to a manageable level. You can then focus it on a guided meditation or a visualization or positive affirmations to give them more oomph and to really help them to get going and to become as, because I have found it manifests much like a spiral. So you start off, where you're at the center point, you're not even aware of any movement, but eventually you start finding that you're making progress. And just like the spiral will give you more and more and more of what you want, this is what happens with manifestations and creating a better life for ourselves. So, instead of focusing on what we don't want, start focusing on what we do want. So, for instance, I might want to take my anger, gather it up, and put it into my version of world peace, seeing people loving each other, caring for each other, walking away from those institutions that are playing us against each other, harvesting our energy and our feelings, all kinds of things. I'm sure I have a very educated chat. I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We can also harvest that energy and our anger and use that, as I mentioned earlier, for better health, because it takes a certain amount of effort and energy to overcome when we're stuck. And we might be stuck with one of our addictions. We might be stuck with all kinds of things. We can even use this to restore ourselves to sanity. And so, as I mentioned before, your anger is raw energy waiting for you to direct it. That's all it is. It's not something we should avoid. It's not something that I would willingly run after, but there's enough things in all of our lives to really piss us off and make us angry. So we want to start to deploy it and use and transmute it into our personal and our collective goals. And so the other thing that I wanted to say about this was be very careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And often, especially in the early days of manifesting, I found that I would often get that which I had asked for, but it didn't look, feel, or taste the way I thought it would. And so we want to be pretty sure about what we're asking for. And that's why I suggest things like, for instance, world peace, better health, more sanity in this world, more love, more ET contact, if that's what you want, whatever you want. It is powerful, medicinal magic. And that's basically what my guides wanted me to share with you today. So I'm just going to go up to the comments. Whoops, go back to the comments and take a look at what everybody else is saying. Let's see, I'm going to take it off the screen, go back a little bit, and try to catch up with you folks in the live chat. So this is kind of cute. Yeah, you guys knew what I was watching that got me kind of hot and bothered around the collar. And that was, yeah, all the protests around ICE and everything. I mean, these people got good reasons to be pissed off. So please don't think that, I'm not taking one side or another. I'm in Canada. We got our own, woes, and we got our own woes and problems. So Maya Starfire, oh my gosh, guys, if you get a chance, go check out her channel. She's got some really, really good stuff to help you out, to help us all out. And she says, oh, an exciting topic. Oh, good. I'm glad you feel that way. So Fearlessly says, I should call her Phoenix. She prefers to be called Phoenix. Intense emotions are amazing gateways to energize any change. Absolutely. You can use them, for revolution. You can use them for that. But you know what? Why not go for better goals? Revolution usually involves hurting yourself, hurting other people, disrupting supply chains. So many different ways of using that energy. And so I personally, I hear about people all the time, and they hate this and they hate that, and they don't want this and they don't want that, but they don't talk about what they do want. And so it's an illusion to whip you up. And then there are all these handlers out there that are doing the rabble rousing. Most people do not want to hurt themselves or hurt other people. Truly, most people do not want to do that. But you're easy to be led around like a ring in your nose by handlers if you're so angry you haven't you haven't been able to have a release valve. So I'll give you another analogy. When I was a kid, my mom used to make chicken soup, and she used to cook it in a pressure cooker. And there is a safety valve on top that lets the steam escape before it builds up to catastrophic levels. But my mom would forget to put the little weight on top that allowed the steam to release, and every once in a while she blew up our kitchen. Very scary, and thank God no one was in the kitchen when this happened. Well, the same thing is true with anger, so we need to release it. You can release it through exercise, but you can also release it by feeling it, really feeling it before it gets to those states where it's complete madness, where it takes over and causes you to do things that you would never normally do. And, in this day and age, meltdowns are really common. I used to have meltdowns all the time until I realized how to be proactive and prevent them. And I think maybe I've had one meltdown in the last 5 or 6 years. I've been really happy with my progress. And so how did I get to that point? Well, it was through, release valve, letting some of that steam out. And, we can't always do it by venting to other people. They got their own problems. They got their own buildup. They got their own lives to deal with. So we can do this on our own. So why not accept it, learn to recognize it, learn to recognize the stages of discontent within the mind and the body, and learn how to release some of that energy just by sending it out. I've even used it by sending out waves of energetic love to my higher guides, to my ET friends, to the angelic realms. A lot of people, when they pray, they got the shopping list. Please help me find a partner. Please help me make more money. Please this, this, this. And it's basically like providing a honeydew list to the universe. But how often do we take the time and send out waves of love and gratitude and accept that, acknowledge that they're with us and that they also are contributing to our lives, our health, and our harmony? So, a lot of people don't think of that. And I was lucky. I sent my son for anger management back when he was a teenager, and he learned anger management, and then he taught me anger management. So now I'm so aware in my solar plexus of something that's, it doesn't even have to be something that makes me angry, but if something is wonky, something is off, something's giving me this undesirable feeling, I know I need to take it seriously. So, I can just ignore it and distract myself, or I can face it. And when I face it, then I use it as a tool, as a positive tool. So Maya says, so happy I caught a live. I'm so happy you're here too. Maya works with Jay Skyrunner, and he teaches Qigong. And I'm sure Qigong also includes taking and harvesting your own anger and getting it out of the body, out of the mind, and into the greater reality where it can actually be used as fuel. So yeah, they're pretty cool. They've been on the show, and they'll be back on again too. So Denise says, too many angry people. It's so sad. Yeah, it is. It is sad. It makes, what bothers me is it puts people in the perfect position to be used, to be manipulated. That anger's got to go somewhere. So how are we going to use it? We can start hating on others. We can complain a lot. We can do all kinds of things that don't add any peace or harmony to our lives. So I've actually never heard anyone talk about using anger in a positive way. but it's very powerful. And mark my words, it's very powerful. So be careful what you ask for. So I stick to things that are safe. Like, for instance, instead of asking for money, I might ask for abundance for all. I feel really good about that because honestly, I have had this weird sort of thing that I used to feel guilty if I had more than my neighbor because I knew we all deserve to have it. And I'm not talking WEF nonsense here, guys. Please don't take me wrong. I am not for any political party. In fact, I actually believe for anyone to get to a certain point of being wealthy and powerful, that there's gatekeepers. And until they do the kind of disgusting nonsense that makes them members of that club, they don't get in. So that means when I look around and I see a lot of politicians and powerful people and the banksters and all of that, I know they've done some really gross stuff. I don't even want to know about it to get to the position that they're in now. And see, it's all coming out on social media too. So I'm just saying, right? So rather than asking for those things, because then I'd have to be a member of their crappy club, I'd rather wish for abundance for everybody. I wish for happiness and peacefulness for everybody. Everybody deserves to have what they call 0 point technology, which is energy systems that don't pollute and don't drain our resources. And it's available, but there's forces that don't want us to have it. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. I'm preaching to the choir. Hillbilly Herb says he's quoting Howard Beale. First, you've got to get mad. There you go. There's that energy. Powerful, powerful energy. And Maya is saying Italy has completely stopped doing anything in response to digital ID, I believe. Well, there you go. Sometimes not doing anything is also a really good solution rather than contributing, to the problems. So just going through the chat here. I am reading a lot of these out loud because there will be people listening to this on an audio platform. And I want them to hear your comments too, because you guys are awesome. And everything you share in the live chat, I think, is beneficial. I actually think we're all on some kind of a cool, common journey together. And we show up and we share what we know and who we are, and it benefits everybody. It's pretty exciting. I've been very, very fortunate that I was featured on a couple of podcasts lately, the Jeff Mara podcast, also Pyramids on Mars. And I was able to talk about my experiences with extraterrestrials. And then from that, I got some new people who email me or send me messages and tell me how much they appreciate my content. I'm inviting them. So I'm hoping they come and join us in the live chat because you're just such a great bunch of people. I got to tell you guys, you really warm my heart. Okay, let's see. Phoenix says, produce a power force that is extremely powerful, but keep people from understanding how to use it and instantly follow it up with a direction for it, and they continue to benefit. Absolutely. Let's see, what does Hillbilly? Oops, sorry guys. My up arrow doesn't work, so I have to use the slider bar, and then it gets carried away on me. But here we go. Hillbilly says, oh my gosh, my system is glitchy today, guys. Okay, sorry, I'm working on it. Oh, skip past it again. There we go. There we go. Okay, Hillbilly Herb says, I think we are witnessing the end of a dualism-based reality. No longer black or white. It's both and all shades in between. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I even have a free course that will teach you how to see things in a much broader perspective. It's available. I have a playlist on my YouTube channel, but it's also available on my website. It's called Quantum Health Transformation. I've been thinking I want to do cover a couple of steps on this show from that material, and I can show you guys easy way. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this because I have a green screen. I'll try holding it up. No, it's not going to do it. Okay. What this is a round sphere, and it's covered with a whole bunch of little pointy bits, little pointy things. And I call that a nubby ball. And a nubby ball represents everything in its entirety. So you have a north pole and a south pole, and you have everything in between. But we're taught that all exists. The only thing that's real is the very top point, which might be, yes, and the very bottom point might be no, or it might be black or white or up or down. But the reality is there's infinite points in between that we can focus on. And life just sort of plumps out and stops being a stereotype. And I think it's really important. Really glad you suggested that, Hillbilly Herb. Oh, this is a good one from Phoenix. She says, anger is like touching a hot stove. It tells us what is not aligned or safe or proper for our well-being. Absolutely. And you do not want to be like my mom with the pressure cooker, who would constantly, well, not constantly, but probably at least once a year, would blow up our kitchen by not releasing the steam. We need to be aware that anger is a tool and it's given to us for a reason. If we didn't get angry, it would be hard. It would be very hard for us to have that kind of energy to make big changes in our life. Hi, Vamp Skyder. Nice to see you. He says, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. See, we don't need to wait for the weekend to be happy. Okay, I'm just seeing if I missed any other comments coming. Okay, Denise says, so true. We use more energy being angry. Yeah, I would agree. And see, Hillbilly Herb says the same thing that I said. It is, oh no, I'm sorry, guys. I'm having some little bit problems here. He says it is, oh, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm not good at this. I'm trying. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is interesting. The show button isn't working. Phoenix says, if I get angry and frustrated, I mess up the tech and the electronics. Oh, yeah, that's really common. Oh, Maya has the same thing. Same here. I will blow light bulbs out or make them flicker really bad. Yes. So you can see it's powerful. It's absolutely powerful. Vamp Skyder says the same thing. And Hillbilly Herb says, I believe it. When I get hit with a bad panic attack, I mess up the radio when I walk near, really wondering what I'm broadcasting. Okay, so can you imagine if we all of us turn those undesirable feelings into world peace? To me, that makes a lot more sense. But you see, again, a lot of people are not taught how to use their anger efficiently. I was never taught, never. In fact, it was like not even talked about, right? Phoenix says, Maya, are you also naturally one that tech goes wrong for? Like, I'm working on something with tech, and as usual, it starts to fail and mess up when I get annoyed and upset. Then it crashes. Well, you know what? Maybe case in point, too, guys, is just the problems I'm having with the live chat today. maybe that's why. I don't know. I'm just guessing. So Vam Skyder says it's all frequency. Yes, it is. Let's see. Hill Hillbilly, when I was younger, I used to lose my mind trying to set the radio up perfectly to dance or clean, only to walk away to do whatever, and the radio goes sideways. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, so yeah, a lot of comments in the chat, other people who experience technology going wonky when they get upset or have undesirable feelings. Oh, this is a good one. If I can get, okay, so I'll tell you what's happening. There is the chat. I can see the chat. And then for some reason, StreamYard has a floating uh, thing that says hide current comment. No, I don't want to hide the current comment. But because it's on top of the comment, I can't click on um, I can't click on the comment to bring it to the screen. It's crazy. Okay, here's a really good one. I want to show you guys this one. Yeah, this is Phoenix. By the way, Phoenix is my guest on Sunday, so please all do come back and hear what she has to say. We're going to have an amazing discussion on Sunday. Starts at noon. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, and 2 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so Phoenix says, Karen, this makes me think of the goddess Kali. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Kali wouldn't be a goddess and wouldn't have that position if there wasn't a good reason and an outlet for her anger. And often we see creation as part of destruction. We have to destroy and then create. So that's really, really common. So maybe Hillbilly Herb says, these conversations are so helpful, no longer experiencing things alone in the broom closet. I'm thankful for the understanding we are all finding. Oh gosh, me too. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you guys. Okay. Maya says, oh, Karen, I was feeling this way about the world and the ones who run it and how much they hurt us yesterday. I was really getting upset. I had to go for a 4.5-mile run. Yeah, yeah. But next time you go for your 4.5-mile run, take that energy from your solar plexus and send that out for world peace. You could also send it out so I get a few more YouTube subscribers. It's not that I don't appreciate you guys. I'm trying to grow my channel, and I've been at this for 10 years. And boy, oh boy, it's taking a while to get anywhere. But I appreciate each and every one of you for sure. So maybe that's what I should start doing. Every time I get pissed off, just send it out, to help grow my channels. Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay, let's trying to scroll down. I'm a little bit behind in the chat. Oh, this is another really good one. Really, really good advice. Hillbilly Herb says, I totally hear that. I had a long salt soak last night to clear and reset my energy. Had to bring a lot of light in. Yeah, that's the other thing. It is the most beautiful time to do manifesting is when you're in the tub. And I'm talking about a salty bath, not necessarily a bubble bath or a perfumey bath, but a salty bath. Epsom salt, sea salt, essential oils. You can put rosemary in there, fresh rosemary if you've got any, or even dried herbs you can put in there depending on what you're craving. And it's just a great time to unpack some of those more intense emotions. I often just send them up to the great recycling of universal consciousness to take my anger, take my discontent, and just recycle it into something beautiful and helpful. So I highly recommend the bath. I also use orgone generators in the bath. I would not recommend pyramids, but there's discs. I've got a few left on my website. But unfortunately, with all this tariff war going on, I may not be able to ship to the States for much longer. So probably shouldn't even now. It's just nuts. I don't want to complain, so I'm not going to talk about it. Let's see. Can't get it to have the show button. This is really crazy today. I'm wondering if it's the sunspots that we've been seeing. There's been a lot going on between the sun and the earth. Phoenix says it would lose the magnetism and I'd have to dematerialize it with another. And trying to get to the bottom here. Van Skyder says, Karen, bravo. I'm doing the same self-work right now. Anger is draining. Focus on the bright side. And Denise says, yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Denise. Gosh, I hope you're feeling better soon, Denise. Denise had to have some medical procedures. I'm not going to talk about it because it's not my place or my story to tell, but she's on the right side of everything now and getting better and recuperating. And I'm just sending much love out to Denise and recommend everybody, please keep her in your prayers. She's such a lovely, lovely person. And I am so blessed to have come to know her. And I can't wait till she's on the sunny side of everything again, which shouldn't take too long because, boy, there is a woman with intention. She got very powerful intention. Okay, let's have a look. Phoenix says, have you felt an influx of this annoyance or anger or irritability the past week? Maybe not everybody, but some days, like the past 2 nights for me, 4 to 6 p.m. especially. Yeah, I have been noticing it. And I'll tell you another thing I think it might have to do with is between 4 and 6 is when a lot of people get home from school or work and they have their Wi-Fi on. And can you imagine how much Wi-Fi is in our neighborhood? And it is all reality pretty much being streamed in this invisible environment. And I don't think it's good for us. Just going to say it. I don't think it's good for us. Okay, let's see. Are we getting down? Just checking the chat here. So I don't know what you guys thought of my little presentation today, but like I said, I was watching some alt news and everybody's angry over everything and everybody's got a bee in their bonnet and they got their panties all twisted up. And I went, oh my God, I have to tell my audience that there's another way of dealing this. I myself used to protest and I don't anymore because first of all, it didn't help. It didn't do a damn thing. And second of all, got me in trouble. I'm not huge trouble, but a little bit trouble. And, there is not military, but let's just say police forces who, if you cross a line, I was never violent or anything like that. But you never know if you're going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and end up getting brutalized. It's just not worth it. So I stopped doing it actually quite a long time ago. And now, of course, with I'm not saying I have a totally expanded awareness, but certainly more than it used to, I can see things from all perspectives and see what might be more helpful, than protesting, like making podcasts with my friends and sharing information. Hillbilly Herb says, I'm certain of it. X flares popping off like popcorn in the last few days. Yeah, it's been really intense. Yep. you're right, Maya. There's a full moon. Was it last night or tonight? That also makes things more intense. Okay. Oh, yeah, I agree with you. Denise says, I'm at an age where I don't want any negativity in my life. I've learned not to give in to anger. It wastes too much time and energy. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Okay. See one more. Hillbilly Herb says rabbit holes. The next day I saw rabbit tracks and fox tracks around my deck and yard. I think I was seeing through the bunny's eyes. Our fear frequency matched up. That's interesting. Okay. So Maya says, I send light straight into the universe for love, forgiveness, and healing every time. Every time I'm out on a walk in literally doing invocations for miles at a time. We need more blessings for all beings. Absolutely. Oh, Denise, thank you so much for your very generous super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It makes a big difference. You all know I hate to ask for money. I try not to, and I try to be as self-sufficient as I possibly can be. But every little bit really helps. If you are not yet um, a channel member, you might want to consider it. It's very inexpensive. It's like $2.99, and I'm not sure if that's Canadian or American a month, but every little bit helps. And then once I have 15 members, then YouTube will give us more perks and things. And I'm also going to start making some videos that are for members only. And I'm going to just start sharing the truth about my life, what I've gone through, what I've experienced, not necessarily negative, but I'm going to start telling you about some of my adventures that you probably have never heard of before and that might not be in my book. So that is coming up soon. Um, let's see. Oh, come on. There, got it. Phoenix says, wow, that's a message right there. I've heard twice in less than 45 minutes. I'm hearing it loud and clear. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you, Denise. Very, very kind of you. You know, a lot of people don't have a lot of money. It's not like, oh, the audience, let's get them to, all donate. Not necessarily. I know how hard it is. Um, I know how hard it is to make ends meet sometimes. I've never been a rich woman and I don't want to be a rich woman because when you're rich, you have all kinds of other problems. Trust me. It seems like in this world, all we do is trade one set of problems, for another set of problems. And Phoenix says, Denise, you're so kind and amazing. She sure is. I don't know what I do. I don't know what I did so right to have you guys on my channel. You're awesome. I just appreciate you so very, very much. Um, so sorry, guys. I am. Let's see. Oop, there we go. Hillbilly Herb says, you're awesome at Karen Holton TV. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you. You're awesome too. Uh, hang on. Oh, stupid thing. Yeah, it's got these over screens, and then the button shows up for show, but then it doesn't show. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Phoenix says something just hit me. What if it's not about the money on the energy front? What if it's having 0 point energy allows us to tap into it and to amplify it with our powers? Oh, yeah, very, very good point. And Maya says, this is one of the channels with the most beautiful and authentic souls. Thank you, Maya. And I would definitely include you in that. You're amazing. And I'm very, very blessed to have you here. And don't know if I showed this one already. Phoenix says, this is one of the very few channels that has a community that truly feels like family. Thank you. I agree. I agree. You guys make the show a success. This is awesome. Um, I find as a podcaster, it's hard for me to watch everybody's videos. I try, especially if you're in the live chat and you got a channel, I try to support what you do as well. But, sometimes it's hard to, well, it's hard to, you know what it is? It isn't that it's hard to watch all the programming. It's that I can't spend my whole day in front of screens. I don't feel good when I spend too much time in front of screens. So I have to do other things too. And so I'm happy to watch as much as I can. I want to participate in all of you guys and your successes too. But it is not always feasible to see everything. So, but I try, just so you know. Phoenix says, Hillbilly, are you a subscriber to Jay Skyrunner? Okay, let's see. Phoenix says, I was on there the other night. It was so much fun. I do hope to be on with Maya too sometime, as she has such butterfly-like energies. Yeah, Maya, you got beautiful energy. Y'all do, and all in your own unique way. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I am a little bit gender blind, if that makes sense. It's not Sam Spider. I've been calling you a he since you first came on. I'm sorry. It says, thank you, Karen. I'm a female. I share the name Vam Skyder with my partner. Okay, sorry about that. And I hope you're not offended. I am often get genders wrong. I don't know why. It's the weirdest thing. I'm also colorblind. I had a friend who was from the Bahamas, and I had met a guy who was from the Bahamas, and I was telling her about this guy I met, and she says, was he black? And I said, no, no, he was just kind of a creamy brown color. She says, you idiot, he was black. And I went, I didn't know that you had to, what do you call all of this? I don't know. It's just, I struggle with it. Of course, I struggle with lots of things that are easy for other people. So anyway, I do apologize. Yeah, there's been a few people that I've misgendered. So, but if it bothers you, just let me know and I'll do my best to remember. But then, Vamp Skyder, when your partner's on, I'm not sure if your partner's male or female, but if your partner's male, how am I going to tell who's who? I don't know. Oh, okay. Another comment from Hillbilly Herb. Lots to think on here. I grew up under a lot of anger from my adopted mother, and as a coping mechanism, I kind of turned my anger off and buried it. It's really come out twice, and that was very scary. Yeah, I used to have meltdowns, and then after I'd had a meltdown, I went, oh my God, I felt so bad, especially if other people were involved, and they didn't deserve that. And I struggled with it. I actually found that I stopped having meltdowns by changing my diet. Unfortunately, it means I have to be on a very strict diet, but it's worth it for me to do that if it means that I'm a kinder, gentler human being. And oh, yeah, this is good too. Hillbilly Herb says lots of shadow work to do. Absolutely. It seems to never end. And also, shadow work seems to be like layers on an onion. Oh, my goodness. Just when you think you've gotten somewhere and you're doing really good and you've exposed your shadow and you've learned healthier ways of dealing with it. And then there's another layer. And on it goes. Okay. I think, are we coming to the end? Uh, Not sure. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind, guys. I'm way behind. Okay, I'm going to skip some just to try to catch up with you. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. I had no idea. You can dress me up, but you just can't take me anywhere. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes, I agree. Phoenix says, I've only felt true anger when someone has harmed someone I care about. Yeah, that is definitely hard. Vamp Skyder says, we like to share the name because it's binary and ambiguous. Well, that's totally okay. I don't mind. I only have one rule for my channel, and that is that you keep your clothes on. Of course, if you're at home, I wouldn't know. But if you're a guest, I ask people to keep their clothes on. And I understand some people smoke, some people vape, some people toke, some people consume alcohol, some people want to eat when they're watching shows. I used to use food. Yeah, food was huge for me. It still is sometimes for me for trying to pacify myself and deal with strong emotions. I have to really, really watch it. Not that there's anything so bad about eating, but I spent, as most of you know, most of my adult life being over 320 pounds. And my life was not kind and was not fun when I was carrying that much weight. And I've lost over 150 pounds and I don't want to put it back on. And I have the kind of body that loves to store fat. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, it doesn't bother me what people do. But the only thing is, if you're guest on the program, I'd love it if you keep your clothes on. That's it. That's about the only thing, the only rule that I have. So we're coming close to the end of the show, guys. It's been really nice to hang with all of you. I hope you got something out of the program today. If you did, could you share this out? I am trying to build up my watch time hours, and I don't know why, but I need 4,000 watch time hours a year. And no matter what I do, I'm only coming up to about 2,500, which leaves me 1,500 watch hours short, which is quite a lot. And I think part of it is because this is a niche audience. Not everyone is going to care for or going to have an appetite for what I'm serving out. And that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And, but I do, yeah, per year. I need 4,000 watch hours per year, and that's to get monetized. And I could sure use it. If I was monetized, I wouldn't have to bug you guys so much for memberships and stuff too. So, uh, no. Hillbilly Herb says, YouTube keeps stealing my watch time hours. I was up to 600 plus, but then suddenly I'm down to 300. Dang, YouTube powers that be. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm grateful for YouTube because this is where all the people are, and I am building up my channel for sure. It's happening. But, um, but, it does present its challenges for sure. So I guess that's about it. Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you, Denise, for your very kind donation. Thank you for moderating. And also Phoenix is also one of my moderators now, and I appreciate you very much. And next Sunday, Phoenix will be on the show with me. We're going to talk about all kinds of super cool stuff. She's got a brilliant mind. I am so grateful that I'm going to be able to have her on the show. If any of you out there want to be on the show, you've got a theme, you've got a message, you've got something that we could fill up an hour talking about, please send me an email at quantumhealthnow, all one word, quantumhealthnow@gmail.com, and tell me you'd love to be on my show. And I will see if I can schedule you in. And for the Aliens and Angels podcast, it would be really great if any of you have had angelic contact, ET contact, anything like that, anything related for the Sunday show, that would be really great. Next week, Joan Wyden and I will be doing another episode of Unseen Nexus. Welcome you all back for that. And I think that's it for today. So guys, thank you again. Oh my gosh, I appreciate you so very, very much. And looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. Hope you have the best week ever. I'm going to send you much love. Much love to each and every one of you. You're awesome. You rock my world. Take care, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available in Amazon bookstores worldwide. Check out my website at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.